Oof, I just had a lot of pizza. I was stuffed. That pizza was great. Welcome to the Divorce Survival Guide. This is episode 6. This is how to get over a breakup fast. And I should probably put in parentheses, how to get over a breakup fast in the healthiest manner possible. See, there's a lot of advice out there, especially on YouTube, but it's going to say things like, go sleep with a dozen women, go get drunk for a month in a bar. As fun as those things are to do, it's not going to help you long term, and you're going to end up regretting that. So this is how to get over a breakup the healthiest and fastest way possible. And these tips are things that I've learned from books, YouTube videos, podcasts, in-person seminars over years and years. And honestly, it's helped me through several breakups, so I hope it helps you. First one is block them. Block them on everything. Block them on your phone, block them on Facebook, Instagram, whatever app you use, even if it's like LinkedIn or something, block them on everything. The reason why you want to block them on everything is, well, because of number 2, you want no contact. Now, this may sound a little silly, no contact. We're not talking about ghosting them. You're legitimately telling them, look, I'm done with you, you're done with me, we're not going to talk to each other for a while. How long? That's a good question. You two need to sit down and figure that out. What I've always done is said, look, I will take 30 days and I'm not going to talk to you at all because I need to get right in my own head. This isn't to be cruel or mean, it's because I have growth and healing that I need to do. And I can't do that if I'm constantly watching their Facebook or their Instagram or their TikTok or whatever they've got. So you really need to make sure you understand and that they understand this is a time for growth and healing. This is not a punishment. Now, I hate to say this, but if you have children, this isn't going to be possible to block them on everything and no contact them. It's just simply not. Because if you have children, your life is now about these children, not about your failed relationship. You're going to want to set a schedule. Like every Friday at noon, I will call you and we will talk about the weekend plans with the kids, whether you're getting them or I getting them and who's got them which week and whatever arrangements you make. Point being, have a set schedule if you have children. Don't just call them up randomly and say, hey, what are you doing? Or hey, I'm really mad at you. Or no, don't do any of that. You want to block them and no contact them as much as possible for one simple reason. You are going to go through an emotional roller coaster and you don't want your raw emotions coming out on them because you're going to do one of two things. You are either going to think of the best version of them that never actually existed. They did no wrong and they were perfect and you were so in love with them. Or you're going to think of the worst version of them, which also probably didn't really exist. That person you hated and despised and they did everything wrong. And you don't want to project all of your emotional state onto them. You want to be able to heal and grow. And to do that, you can't have a constant barrage of them in your face. I have to also put no contact means no stalking, meaning don't check their social media, don't follow them on Instagram, don't watch their Facebook, don't make a fake account and watch them. It means simply put them in the background. You're not going to ignore them. If they need you, they'll contact you, they'll find a way, trust me. But you want to put them in the background and focus on yourself. Part of that is removing any pictures of them or videos of them from your phone or on the walls. When I was going through my divorce, I had a lot of photos of my wife, like all our wedding photos, vacation photos, things like that. And I had to go through and just get rid of them all. Now, I want to put it out there. I'm not advocating you delete them, copy them, and store them in a safe location. You'll probably want them for later, especially if they're like wedding photos or something. Regardless of whether or not you two work it out, you're going to want to see those photos sometime in the future. Those were good memories. The reason why you're removing the pictures from sight is, well, out of sight, out of mind, right? And most images or videos are taken at a really high point. So you got this huge dopamine spike, like the day you got married or the day you went on a romantic date or that great vacation. You don't want those sticking around because you're not going to get that dopamine spike and you're actually going to get depressed looking at these things because you're thinking of your failed relationship. It's hard to describe, but when you go through a breakup, what your mind is really doing is trying to imagine a future without them because you've just spent all this time constructing this future with them in it. And now that future doesn't exist anymore. They're gone. Doesn't matter if you broke up with them or they broke up with you, you're going to go through this same cycle where your mind is going to go, what do I do with myself now? What's next? And you go into fight, flight, or freeze mode where you're going to have these emotional roller coasters that are going to be at times debilitating. Now, what I mean by that is you'll go through some extreme emotions. Anger, sadness, frustration, just numbness. I mean, complete, total numb to the world. And those emotions last about 8 hours. If they last longer than 8 hours, you as an individual need to decide if you need medical attention. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I can't give medical advice or therapeutic advice for that matter. But if your emotional state is lasting longer than 8 hours, like if you're bawling your eyes out for 3 days straight nonstop, you probably need to see somebody. See a licensed and trained medical professional. That brings me to my next point, which is you're going to miss them. You really are. I don't care what the situation was. I don't care if they stole your Xbox. I don't care if they cheated on you with your best friend on your birthday. I don't care what the situation was. You will miss them because you were in love with them at one point. So feel your feelings. Feel them very deeply, but give yourself a time limit. Tell yourself, for the next hour, I'm going to feel every raw, painful emotion, everything full force. And if it's overwhelming, that's okay. What you can do then is compartmentalize and say, you know what? I'm going to feel this part right here, this one thing. You pull it out of its box, you unpack it, and you think about it, and you feel that emotion. When it becomes overwhelming, you put it back in the box. You put it on a shelf for another time. You have to understand that emotions don't control you. You control your emotions, believe it or not. And you will get good at this over time. Now, there is a difference between compartmentalizing your emotions versus repressing. Repressing is when you just push them down and you don't deal with them ever. That's bad because that emotion doesn't go away. It actually turns into trauma and it becomes way, way worse. So don't do that. You want to have the ability to say, you know what? I'm at work right now. I'm in a meeting. I can't focus on this, so I'll deal with this when I get home. Believe me, the power of procrastination works wonders in this situation. You tell yourself, I'll deal with this later. I'll deal with this when I get home or on the weekend or whenever I have free time. I'll deal with it then. And then actually follow through and deal with it then. Pull it out. Say, okay, what was this thing that I was so worked up about at work or at church or wherever you were? Pull it out. Feel those emotions. Guys, pay attention. We as men typically have a really hard time getting in touch with our emotions. Women really have an advantage here. They do. Women recover from breakups so much faster than men because they feel their emotions. They feel them full force. Men, however, we like to stuff things down and repress them. Yet don't do that. You need to feel your emotions. And if you don't know how to feel your emotions, like if you just don't even know what you feel, this is what works for me. Go into your room, dark room preferably, turn off all the lights, anything that makes noise. You want it dark and quiet. And just sit there. And it's going to seem boring and stupid at first, but after a while your mind's going to get bored and it's going to start wandering and your true emotions are going to start coming forth. That time that they said this that pissed you off, or you're really sad because they're seeing someone else, or whatever it is, you're going to start feeling those emotions and you can start working on them and getting in touch with them. I want you to find a friend, find someone you can really trust. This has got to be someone you trust with your life, be it a parent, a sibling, a pet, a goldfish, the bird in the backyard that eats the bread you throw out there, whatever. Find someone you can talk to, someone who's just going to listen. There's that old saying, that talking about it makes it better. It really does. I hate to be cliche, but it does. I mean, even if it's just a painting on your wall, something that you can actually physically talk to and get the words out. And what you'll find is once you start talking, as ridiculous as it sounds, even if you're talking to yourself, once you get going, it's going to be a flood and you're going to have a hard time stopping because you're going to start processing all those feelings and all that emotions that are coming to the surface. Again, give yourself a time limit. Say, I'm going to do this for about an hour because you don't want to sit there for 3 days doing this. You want to do it in a healthy manner. Now, you want to stay busy. Stay as busy as possible. And I don't mean needlessly busy. Don't vacuum your carpet for 9 hours or something stupid like that, but actually have goals. Think about who you were before the relationship even began. What were your hobbies that you used to love to do? I mean, was it drawing, painting, skateboarding, swimming, yoga? I mean, what was it? Maybe you like to, I don't know, go out and get in touch with nature or go on meditation trips or go on vacations. Go back and do those things. Start picking up those old hobbies and discover new hobbies. Like if you're not a very good cook, take a cooking course. If you have no idea how to balance your finances, take a financing class. Do something different. Get out of your shell. Go discover the world, and you're going to start learning new things about yourself. But this is also going to help with the healing process, because while you're doing things that you enjoy, you're realizing you don't necessarily need that relationship to bring you happiness, that you can bring yourself happiness through your own actions. And you're probably going to make some really good friends along the way. I mean, my own personal journey, this really hit hard for me. Was I actually got a phone call from one of my friends that, hey, me and another buddy, we're going to go to a bar. Now, I don't drink, I quit drinking, but I went and hung out with them. And it was just, it got me out of my head. I'm sitting in this bar and everyone's laughing, having fun. There's live music playing and stuff like that. And this is something I hadn't done in years because she didn't like going out. So it was like, okay, cool. And I'm sitting there getting into the music and, everyone's having fun. And I look and there's this really, really, really cute girl from across the bar who looks at me and smiles. And it was like, whoa, this is a completely different mindset than where I was an hour ago. And it was eye-opening to me, and I actually really enjoyed it. Now, this next one's a bit controversial. You want to talk to the opposite sex. No, I'm not talking about dating. I'm sorry. No, we're not talking about dating. We're talking about just platonic friendships, conversation with the opposite sex. And if you were in a lesbian, gay, or homosexual relationship, still talk to the opposite sex. There's a reason for this. Men and women think very differently. We really, really do. Traditionally, or I should say statistically, men tend to think logically and they're very out of touch with their emotions. Women tend to think emotionally, but they can use logic. Now this will mess with you. A lot of guys go, well, my wife doesn't know why she's mad. No, she knows why she's mad. She's just so mad she can't think logically. But she knows logically she's mad because you screwed up. Women actually are way better at this than men are. Sorry, it's just true. Men, however, will go, well, here's the problem and I want to fix the problem. But they repress their emotions the entire time. They don't think about how they actually feel. If you don't believe me, walk up to a guy when he's working on something, like his car is broken or he's working on a furnace or a computer or whatever, and just go, hey, how do you feel? And he's going to just give you this blank stare like, what do you mean? Because he's repressing all his emotional state to focus on the logical problem. This kind of goes hand in hand with having new goals and new hobbies, but make new friends, get out there. In my own divorce, I've met so many new people. It's like blowing my mind. I've got people that are like, hey man, how are you doing? And I didn't know them 6 months ago. And so I've got this great circle of friends that honestly, when I went through my divorce, I was kind of like emotionally going down this roller coaster into this dark, dark place. You know what I'm talking about. That dark, dark place, and all these people just kind of came together and they're like, hey, just wanted to check and see how you're doing. Now, you got to be a little careful because when you meet new people, you don't really know what you're getting into, and some people are going to be not the best people. So be picky about who you let in your life. The next one is you're going to want to do what we call the inner work. Now, this sounds all mystical and all that. It's really not. A lot of your personality is layers of trauma and response. And I'll give you an example. I had a girl that I was dating one time, and I just simply said, where do you want to go to dinner? And like, she had this look of terror come across her face. And this is a simple conversation. What the hell do you want to eat, woman? But I just said, hey, what do you want for dinner? And she just got almost terrified. Well, that was a response from something that happened in her childhood where somebody had asked her, hey, what do you want? She couldn't make up her mind, and she got, kind of yelled at for it. That kind of thing happens all the time. And you'll see this with adults where you'll have a normal conversation and suddenly they go off the rails and they're acting crazy and they don't know why. Or more to the point, it makes no sense to you. A lot of that is a trauma response. There's a really great book I want you to check out. It's called How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole LaPera. I've read, in the last 6 years, I probably read hundreds of books, but that's honestly one of the few books I would say was life-changing. It really, really hit home for me. She really walks you through, how to spot these repressed traumas and then how to unpack them, look at them in a logical manner, and then deal with them. And for me, it made me realize that a lot of the issues that I had in my marriage were either me hitting my own internal triggers or my wife hitting her triggers. And honestly, I wish I read that book before I got married. I think my marriage would have been a little bit better. Let's talk about dating. Yeah, dating. Don't do it. Just don't. I'm going to say it. Just don't do it. I mean, you're going to go out there just a mess. And you're going to project all your emotions and all your anger and sadness and frustration onto some poor, unsuspecting fool that just wants to go have dinner with you. Just don't do it. You'll know when you're ready to date. And it's not going to be soon. If you want to just go jump in bed with somebody, have safe sex. I'm not a medical professional and this is not advice, but I'm just warning you right now. You're going to hurt yourself pretty bad if you go jumping out into the dating pool. And you're probably going to make some enemies out there because they're not going to understand what you're going through. You're just not ready yet. Now, how long is it going to take? That's really up to you. It depends on how fast you go through your healing. Here is a simple rule of thumb to determine whether or not you're ready to date. I want you to just take a minute, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and think of your ex on a date with someone else. That's right, think of your ex on a date with someone else. How do you feel about that? Are you angry, sad, frustrated? Do you feel like crying? Do you feel like throwing something? If you have any emotion other than, I don't really care, or, oh, good for them, you're not ready to date. You're just not. And here's why. Because when you go on a date with someone else, you're going to be thinking about your ex. You're going to be comparing this person that you're just meeting to your ex. You're going to be evaluating them on an impossible scale that no one could ever meet because you have this wildly unrealistic expectation of what your spouse would have been in the future. That sounds like a load. It really does. But trust me, it is true, every word of it. You will go on a date and you will not like the people you meet, or you'll romanticize and you'll fall in love like that. And you're going to end up hurting yourself very, very quickly. If you want your ex back, my heart really breaks for you because statistically, when a relationship fails, it's not going to be repairable. Sure, you can get them back for a short amount of time, but you're going to start repeating cycles. And so let's talk about repeating patterns. If you go back with your ex, you're going to repeat the same patterns over and over again because if nothing has changed, nothing's going to change. You're both going to get back into a relationship and you're going to exhibit the same patterns and behaviors that you did before, and you're going to end up right back watching this video wondering why you're going through a breakup. I did this with mine. I had filed for divorce and a little bit of time went on and we were talking and I was like, okay, I'll take you back and we'll try it again. And not even 2 months later, I was filing for divorce because our whole cycle went full circle and I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And no amount of talking to her, no amount of trying to work things out was going to happen because she was too enmeshed in her behaviors and her patterns. Now, I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying that as grown adults, we couldn't break out of our own patterns and we were doomed to repeat them. So if nothing's changed, nothing's going to change. And getting back with them means that you're going to end up right back here. So if you want to get back with your ex, you need to change. Don't expect or hope them to change. You need to change. You need to change part of yourself. You need to change how you react to situations, how you deal with conflict and consequences. For example, if there are trust issues in the relationship, you need to mend those trust issues and you need to figure out what you can do to fix those trust issues. Now, yes, they have to meet you halfway. You can't do all the work, but then again, if they haven't changed, nothing's really changed and you're going to end up right back here. I'm not saying that your relationship is doomed. I'm just saying it's going to be an uphill fight and both of you are going to have to work at this. Now, if you want your ex back and you're just like, I will do anything to get my ex back, here's how. I will give you the shortest, most straightforward answer on how to get your ex back. Change for the better. That's right, just change for the better. What you need to do is stop focusing on them and start focusing on you. People only find you attractive when they see you are happy and you're being successful at life. If you don't believe me, go to a big city and look at, some homeless person standing there begging for change. 9 times out of 10, they're standing there by themselves because they're not happy and they're not successful. I'm not dogging on homeless people. I'm just saying that is a hard fact. People are attracted to happiness and success. So if you want your ex back, become successful, become happy. Now, how do you do that? Everything we've just talked about in this video. Find hobbies, find goals, chase after those things unapologetically. If you are interested in, say, photography, become the best damn photographer in the region. Get your name out there. Just do it with a passion and a drive. And you'll start seeing that people will start becoming attracted to you. Everybody's attracted to success and happiness. Now, you may be asking yourself, now wait a minute, if I followed your advice and I'm no contacting them and I'm blocking them, how are they going to know this? That's an excellent question. At a certain period of time, when you feel healthy and you can close your eyes and go, how would I feel if they were on a date with someone else? And you're perfectly fine with that, by then unblock them. You communicate with them and say, hey, look, I think we should get together for coffee. And they may say no, and at that point, you're already healed, so you're like, you know what? Take care. It's been a pleasure knowing you. Now, there's no silver bullet. There's no magic wand. Some relationships are just doomed. I'm just going to say it. Some relationships are just not fixable. Both parties have to be in this 100% or it's just not going to work. But here's the thing. If you're working on yourself and you're becoming a better version of yourself, it won't matter. It really won't matter, because at the end of this, you're going to come out happier than when you entered. Think about the person you were before you even met your ex. Now think of the person you're going to become when you're happier and more successful, which means your next relationship is going to be even better. Trust me, it works. Let's talk about some books. So here's some really key books that I read. The first one is The Breakup Survival Guide for Men by Lassie Bauer. Sorry, ladies, yes, this is for men. It's a good read. I recommend it. There aren't a lot of books out there for men. Most breakup and recovery books are written for women by women, because women are the ones that focus on their emotions during a breakup. This is one of the few good books for men that I found, and it's Lassie Bauer. He just kind of like knocks a home run out of this thing. He really goes through like this whole emotional landscape that you're going to be going through and talks about how to get through it. And he talks about a lot of key things that really helped him. I mean, it was one of those books that I read almost immediately after the breakup, and it took me about a week and a half to read. And that week and a half really changed my outlook on things. The next book that I've mentioned quite a few times is How to Do the Work by Nicole LaPera. Again, this is addressing childhood trauma and repression and how to get through that. And it is nothing short of life-changing, honestly. I've actually thought about booking a trip to a live seminar just to see, in person how this works, because this book was so life-changing for me. A lot of it was just, you have triggers and responses, right? So someone will say something or do something and then you're instantly mad and you don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. Like, sounds cliche, but ladies, you tell your husband to take out the trash and he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And he doesn't do it and then you're pissed off. Why? Logic would say because he's lazy and he didn't take out the trash, but there's an actual reason. Usually it's a repressed childhood memory or trauma. There's a reason why you're getting upset. And until you understand that and deal with that, it's going to get worse and worse and worse as the years go on. The next book, I love the title, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Now this book is really about forgiveness and moving on. It's actually a really good book. I kind of walked into this going, I don't know if this is going to be a good book for me. It was a great book. It talks about regret and life lessons. And I'll give you an example. One thing in the book, they're talking about Dave Mustaine. He is the founder and lead singer of a band called Megadeth. And this is a world famous metal band. Now Dave Mustaine was in a band called Metallica, who's a bigger, better, more world famous band. And Metallica actually kicked Dave Mustaine out. So Metallica kicks Dave out, Dave goes and founds Megadeth. Dave Mustaine is world-renowned musician. He's played in front of billions of people. He's all over the world. But in Dave's mind, he's the guy that got kicked out of Metallica. He just never got over that mentally. So that's what this book really talks about, is in the grand scheme of things, what you're going through, what you're experiencing, how really detrimental is it to you? Might not be that bad. Now I want to end this video with a really great poem that I found. And this one really hit home for me, and I hope it helps you. If you spend your time chasing butterflies, they'll fly away. If you spend your time making a beautiful garden, the butterflies will come to you. When you focus on improving yourself, everything you want will come your way. We attract based on who we are, not what we want. Don't chase, attract. That hit home for me. That really hit home for me hard. I found that I was chasing my ex-wife and I wanted her back so badly, and nothing I tried seemed to work. And it wasn't until I said, you know what? I'm going to work on me. I'm going to become a better version of myself, that I realized that, she actually started coming back to me and wanting to work things out. Ultimately, the marriage did fail, and that's fine. Maybe it was doomed from the start. I don't know. But I do know that I'm happier than I was before I even got married, and that to me is nuts. So you can do this. You can get over this. I know it may suck now in the moment, but you'll get there. As always, love you guys.